Hey everyone, welcome back to Sowell Media. We are back with our series review of Peacemaker Season 2, and now all 8 episodes are now premiered on HBO Max. We have some conflicting concerns or feelings about how this show ended and how it sets up the future of the DCU leading up to Man Tomorrow and the rest of DC Universe. But I'll just start off by saying this. I felt that this finale for me felt so unsatisfying. However, it doesn't affect in terms of my perspective of the overall season, and particularly with episode 6, 7, and I think 3 for me. But I felt that this particular season, how it ended, the finale felt like a long post-credit scene that really kind of was jumped away from the overall arc of this show, and honestly kind of leave a lot of plot points to be to explored, and also not about expectations that was set up by me. It was set up by James Gunn, that he'd been telling us, oh, hey, big cameo, big this, all this stuff. The teaser for Man Tomorrow and all this stuff like that is this. And honestly, I felt that he should have kept his mouth shut, and I feel that to me it probably shot himself in the foot in terms of people's reaction to this, because you see online people are very mixed with this. I think this is the weakest episode of the entire season? No, but this does definitely give me the most, I would say, unsatisfying feeling out of any episode, because this was the finale. But there were some great things in this in here that I also don't want to skip over, because it's not that it was a horrible episode or horrible show or horrible season 2. It just felt unsatisfying, and to me, taking a step back, I felt that this season to me felt a little bit lazy. But what was your thoughts on terms of how this season ended with Peacemaker season 2 and leading up to the rest of the DC universe, leading to the next Man Tomorrow, Lantern, Supergirl, whatever?
Yeah, no, we've been having conversations about this since the episode came out. You guys can see our in time reactions to that finale on Ronan's channel, and you can see the multiple conversations that I've been having online about this finale. And the general constant feeling is that this finale felt underwhelming, or it left you feeling whelmed. And me personally, yes, I still feel very much whelmed after this finale. It does not affect my overall feeling towards this season. I still really overly like season 2 for what it does for the characters, but in terms of the plot, especially within the finale, it just felt like a lot of things were left on the back burner, or a lot of things were not given that much time to breathe. Like, when moments are given time to breathe, you feel it, especially in the finale with the 2 moments with Danielle Brooks' character Adebayo. But in terms of other things, and it's I've had time to sit with this now, and I'm not as upset with this finale as I was when we initially watched it, but I'm still not overly satisfied. Yes, I see the setups for Man of Tomorrow with Planet Salvation and Checkmate now being a thing, and of course, for those who know Planet Salvation and know that was the lead into Final Crisis, where that can go, especially with how it ends. And it's I see the setup for the future of the DCU. I see Man of Tomorrow. Hell, James Gunn said this is going to bleed into the next series, which is Lanterns. So it's not like this stuff isn't going to get explored on, within the next year or so. It's just that overall, it made you feel what the hell was that all about? What the hell was this whole season? Well, not the whole season, but more so certain plot lines about. Especially when it's yeah, I get we concluded the Earth X storyline in the penultimate episode, but nothing about it with all in this finale. Not only that, you talking about Rick Flag Sr., just the 180 of this character from when we got introduced to him earlier this year in Creature Commandos, and when we saw him again in Superman, to all the way at here. It's I said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it until the next time we see the character. I don't recognize him anymore. I legit do not recognize this same guy voicing
It's
him.
not
Same
because
character.
of the hair. It's not because of the hair, Doc.
It's not because it's literally not because of the hair or the build. Again, we know why the characters looked a little different in Creature Commandos if you know the history of that. It's still the same character and it's still the same story. It's just the way that he ended would make himself back in Creature Commandos be like, what the hell, and make his son who died in the Suicide Squad be like, Dad, what the hell? Like, there's a lot about this season that I love in terms of its narrative, in terms of the characters, the character arcs they go on, especially for Peacemaker himself. This is probably the best I've seen John Cena in terms of his acting. But
yes,
in terms of some of the story that they decided to go with, or some of the story that they decided to leave as hanging threads, some of it I'm okay with leaving until we see it again in Lanterns or Supergirl or Man of Tomorrow, and other parts I'm like, okay, we could have done better with this. Like, James, and also I will just say this, we need to stop overhyping things. Like, come on,
yes,
do we not learn? Do we not learn from WandaVision? Did we not learn from Multiverse of Madness? When you overhype things that are not going to be there, it does not matter what people's previous expectations are. When you set the expectations and they are not met, or they were a fluke, of course people are going to respond the way that they have been.
Yeah, and unlike season 1, and I'm going to say this, I think season 1 is the better season, my personal opinion, because I felt from beginning to end where I was disinterested and I was extremely interested at the end. That season, to me, I felt was a great crescendo and a great payoff to that entire team and why we love this show, because of the ensemble and introducing obscure characters that now that I'm fans of and love is because of season 1. Season 2, you also have maybe some of the great moments and scenes out of the entire series, right? In terms of on an emotional level. And with Adebayo, with Amelia Harcourt as well, all these characters evolving and maturing in their roles, especially with John Cena. And I'm not going to be ignorant of that, acknowledging that progression. However, with this particular season, I keep talking about there's a comparison between Peacemaker and Deadpool, and how Peacemaker is not Deadpool because of the comedy randomness of it, is because of the character breaking the fourth wall. With Peacemaker, his comedy comes from the crazy situational humor that he goes through, but also the environment and also the banter he has with that team dynamic of the 11th Street Kids, which creates cinematic synergy, for the audience. But what this season felt was like Deadpool and Wolverine, where Wade Wilson, Deadpool, wanted to matter. He said, I want to matter. I want to be part of the Avengers. I want to matter, right? This season, beginning of it, what we see in terms of the teaser is that, life sucks for him, but he's trying to do the right thing, and he wants to first join the Justice Gang, and they tell him, no, you suck, bro. He wants to be a hero. And at the end of this season, I felt, what arc did he really get in terms of other than knowing that, hey, my friends love me, and also the girl I've been trying to sleep with for over a year and all stuff like that, now she finally have feelings for me. All right, we're cool, right?
No.
To me, I felt this season missed the mark of Chris trying to be a hero, wanting to be a hero, and him to matter, right? Now, I think that it's gonna, evolve obviously within the DC universe, but I think it's just if sentiment to him that saying, hey, you know what, I'm a good guy, right? Because so much darkness and bad things happening around him, which is why, like, I really had to let my thoughts sit around when the last time we talked about this, because I was like, dude, like that's the ending you got, and I didn't like the gaslighting of like, nah, y'all just triggered because you don't get, this was a complete story. Like, no, it wasn't a complete story, because if you feel that that the whole point of his arc is just knowing that, oh, I have friends that love me, you knew that season 1. And that's saying the grass is green on the other side is, talking about the form of escapism. Okay, I give you that, but I can only say Earth X was a plot point for maybe 3 episodes. It was episode 3, episode 6 and 7, right? That were like full on. That was the plot. Nothing else. Not no bird blindness. Not no freaking Eagly and him, the alpha eagle, whatever, with the cultural appropriating hitman, Michael Rooker, and all stuff like that. I'm looking at the end of this season how much time that was wasted on just for some dumb jokes. The cutaway, actually great emotional scenes, and then where you can have the humor as way of a palate cleanser of that scene, or to make the scene even like the icing on top, the cherry on top, But what it comes across when I say is lazy, because James, I know you've done better before. I've seen you do better. And this is not me trying to say, oh, DCU's over. He's stepping down. Much as everyone, after the divisiveness of this particular finale, everyone online right now is talking about, oh, the DC universe is over. No, it's not over. However, I have concerns. In the words of Lex Luthor, I'm scared. But am I terrified? No. But I am scared to a T, a little bit, only because I need to see a trajectory of how this is going to go. And I'm not talking about giving me reveals and giving me cameos and all stuff like that, right? No, I'm talking about narrative things that satisfy the plot that you are providing. And to a point where I'm not, as a fan, even my wife was like, what the hell was this episode? Like, not a comic reader. Now, there's ways for you to expand people wanting to read the comics. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the biggest know-it-all of Salvation Run storyline, and now that I am because of this episode. But does that mean that I feel better about this episode now that I looked at Comic Historian and Comic explaining about freaking the Salvation Run storyline? No, because forget the plot or the comic you base this off of, whether it's a loose adaptation, whatever. I'm just saying, was it just a good episode to wrap this entire show? That's right. My thing. And I think that you just can't say, well, because this was in the comics. And also, it doesn't matter if it's in the freaking comics. And it's just like, you can put any character you want. You can create any original character, like Flurry, whatever, Tim Meadows' character, and add other people into team Checkmate and everything, which is a comic organization. You can do all that stuff, but when it just comes across as a little bit lazy, just as a plot device and just saying there, but because it's from the comics, therefore it's genius. No, like, it's about having balance.
I just gotta say this, like, it's not about the fact of things being brought in from the comics now getting adapted, or we didn't like it because there weren't. No, see, for us, like, again, I'm a comic reader, but it's like, I don't care if certain things don't get adapted. And in terms of the whole like narrative of we're expecting cameos, it's like, look, we've passed this point. And anybody who's going online being like, we're expecting cameos, that was back in like early 2020s and shit like that. We're way past this point. At this point, we just want these things to be tonally consistent and structurally sound. We don't want these things to feel like there are parts that you just fringed on. And again, I said, this isn't saying the DCU is dead, because it's like, no, this is just one small, like, out of the 3 DCU projects we got this year, Creature Commandos, Superman, and Peacemaker Season 2, while I like all 3, Peacemaker Season 2 may be in the latter half for me in terms of this stuff, not because it's a bad season. I still like the season, but there are moments in there that I'm just like, I'd rather watch Creature Commandos or Superman. And
right.
That's also why I said that I'm glad that next year we have something that's not by Gunn when it comes to the DCU. We got Lanterns next year. We got Supergirl next year. We got Clayface next year. So it's like, that's 3 projects.
Ringing all the bells for next year,
yes.
2026. Yes. I'm telling you, this is the show. If you this is make or break for me. I don't give a damn about any movie. I'm talking about with this character and this show. Green Lanterns is overdue. This character, Jon Stewart, is overdue. And I hope, with the writers behind one of my favorite shows, Watchmen, again, amazing show that just came out of nowhere, and I'm just like, this is one of the greatest shows limited series I've ever seen. One of them. Mm-hmm. I'm not even lying. It's not hyperbole, it's a fact.
Oh yeah. Well, without a doubt, it's a fact.
I'm saying, this is hopefully the palate cleanser I need for the DC universe. Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why I'm glad the next 2 to 3 projects are not by Gunn. Love the dude, but I think the fact that we have 3 projects by him within 1 year, 3 projects by him within 1 year, I think we need a break before we see him again in Man of Tomorrow. I think we're going to need a break, and thankfully next year will be that break. Again, I'm not saying don't have James Gunn direct anything else within his DCU. I'm just saying there comes a moment where it's like, you don't want to eat ice cream all the damn time. You might want something else to cleanse your palate. Right, and that's what we're feeling. That's what we're feeling right now. We got a brain freeze. We got a bit of a headache right now, and I think now is the time for when Lanterns comes in, when Supergirl comes in, and when Clayface comes in, and whatever else may come out before Man of Tomorrow comes out in 2 years. That by the time we see him again, we'll be ready for that again. But right now we're not, because it's like we've had a lot, and this finale kind of felt like the weakest point in everything that he's had throughout this entire year of DCU content. And that's a sad thing. But again, that's why I'm glad about next year. And again, as I said before, James, you don't need to overhype it. You didn't overhype Creature Commandos. And when that Batman moment happened, we were all going crazy.
Exactly.
You don't need to overhype. You don't need to overhype these things. Just let it sit, tease things, but don't say like, oh, you're going to want to stay for that finale. There's a big ass thing. It's like, don't do that. Because that's the same shit that happened with, remember WandaVision? Seriously,
remember
whole,
Flash?
oh, there's a big,
remember the Flash?
Remember Flash? Right. Again, I still remember when Paul Bettany was like, oh yeah, there's someone in there that I wanted to work with for so long that it turned out to be himself. Or Multiverse of Madness, everyone having huge expectations. While we definitely had some big cameos, the ones that weren't spoiled by the trailers, still felt whelmed. Right. Still felt like cannon fodder and still felt whelmed. So at this point, I don't want to hear any of that stuff. That's why I'm glad and hoping that when it comes to Doomsday, for example, we don't hear anymore until we get a trailer. It's like, we don't need to overhype it. The people who will be there. And those who don't, but hear like, oh, wait, I should have actually went, then they'll go. But you don't need to overhype everything.
Yeah, and I will say with some of the plots, with season 2, with the quantum unfolding chamber, I thought it was wasted potential with that because of with Daniel Brooks's character Adebayo, which her forming Checkmate and using it as a retcon for Amanda Waller instead of Waller, it's her. I think that's great. That's why I thought they were gonna go. But to me, if you let Danielle Brooks rock and yet you let her rock in this episode of episode 8, I felt like you wasted in terms of this Academy Award level of acting in terms of which is Danielle Brooks, and let her be this character and stuff instead of, and I don't want to keep saying this, but a token. It just as a this is just here's the lesbian black friend, that's supporting the white male character, whatever, and then even then with James, with the X Nazi narrative, like if you were going to use that as a plot point, let us sit in with that instead of like, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but CW did this better of Earth X. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe I'm saying that because as much as you had the nerve to make this better by making multiverse personal, CW allowed us to sit in this world just for a little bit, see the far extremes and everything, the alternate versions of these characters, and then at the beginning, middle, and end of that arc, which is a crossover event. And much as all the problem, which is the CW-ish, I felt they did Earth X better. But on the good points, I'll just say this, and as we wrap things up, that I definitely appreciated that. Okay, we are now 3 pieces of content in this DC universe of 2025. I won't say I'm disappointed in terms of the end of the year. I think this is the height of as a DC fan that we need right now, especially coming from the Penguin, having wins, Emmy wins and stuff. The fact that we have a Superman quote unquote additional film, well, it's not a direct sequel, but we're having returning of that character. We're seeing also at least 2 films now in the can, or one in the can, one that's currently shooting right now, but also going props to filmmaking of going back to 101 with the basic of practical effects, Clayface shows too, characters and everything. And much as he had other projects he hasn't announced yet, because again, really, I don't see him really making any announcement other beyond Man of Tomorrow, which is the only new film that's been announced. Aside from like still development of Brave and the Bold and other things, but will there be a Peacemaker season 3? Right? No, probably not. But will there be maybe a Checkmate show? Hopefully, because I think it's better format for a series and make it a little bit more serious than Peacemaker, because you have other characters who are involved with. You have Green Arrow. You have the Question. And maybe if you have a Question show with the Huntress and have Checkmate be a plot point in that, so be it. Instead of a full-on checkmate show, go ahead. Yeah. Other than that, do I think that this season was a letdown? No. In terms of most moments, again, there's great emotional scenes in this season. But unfortunately, I felt the finale to me was really unsatisfying, and I'm disappointed. And now my emotions and everything went from here to here, and I was like, but I still stand firm. Like, I was just not pleased with this, not even as a fan, just as a watching plot move from beginning, middle to end. I felt episode 8 was on a different show, and completely random with a lot of things that are jumping, which is like you could have let some of these plot points in other episodes and let it sit. But yeah, but other than that, lanterns.
Beware my power.
It might be dark.
Beware my power.
Today we might be entering a brighter day. Not a brand new day, because that's Marvel. But anyway, make sure you subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts on Peacemaker season 2. All full spoiler in the comment section down below, and make sure your notification bell, because we got more reviews coming later this week. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Excuse me. Cut that out. Please cut that out.